What's up, Antoinette? It is nice to see you. How are you doing? How are you doing?
Hey, Chris. How are you? All is well.
I'm glad to hear that. Glad to hear that. That is a beautiful thing to hear. First and foremost, I want to say thank you for taking this opportunity to talk to me today about this. At this channel, Financipation. This channel is all about making money. It's all about saving money. It's all about building generational wealth, and it's all about basically financially emancipating yourself from generational poverty. And I love talking to particularly females. I love talking to females that have kind of emancipated themselves from corporate America, if you will, that are entrepreneurs, that are killing the game, and that are financially literate. And as a guy who has an MBA in finance or whatever, I enjoy doing this kind of stuff because to me, we can talk all day about inequalities in this country, structural stuff, this and this. Until we get financially literate, I don't see things ever actually changing. And I love talking to people like yourself, Antoinette, because I know you from the bottom up. I know pretty much you were grinding in the corporate America lifestyle, and I see kind of what you and your man are doing right now, and I love that kind of stuff. So thank you for taking the time to talk to us today.
No, thank you for thinking that what we're doing is important enough to be told.
No, no, for real though. A lot of my cousins, a lot of my female acquaintances, a lot of my female friends and associates and stuff like that. I want them to see more sisters like yourself because you grew up the same way that we all did. You grew up the same way they did. You basically came from the same background, same environments. And I want these girls and these women to basically see what you're doing with your life, kind of professionally, financially, socially, the countries you've been to, that kind of stuff. And so they can start saying, okay, I don't necessarily just need to be whoever. I don't need to make whatever. I don't need to dance. I don't need to do this. I can do it this way, and I can live the kind of life that I didn't think that our people get to do. So, my first question to you, Antoinette, is this: tell us about yourself. I obviously know about you, but tell us a little bit about yourself. Where were you born? Where were you raised? You can go into detail about family if you want. It's pretty much the floor is yours. The floor is yours.
I'll probably keep it short and sweet. So, born and raised in the county of Dade. I'm from Miami, Miami Gardens, Bajas, whatever you want to call it. That's where I'm from. I'm the youngest of eight. So a large household. Um, and I guess that's it. Yeah, that's where I'm from.
Dade County, 305. Stand up, stand up. Definitely. You said youngest of eight.
Youngest of eight, yes.
All right, cool.
But by the time I was like growing and aware, most of them are way older. So I got to be a little bit of the youngest and also a little bit of only child life. I had some of that too. So the closest to me is about 7 years apart, and the oldest is probably 15 years older. So,
dang. See, I grew with a brother basically 2.5 years older than me, and a younger one 2.5 years younger than me. I'm in the middle. That only child syndrome, is that ish real or?
I don't know. I don't feel like there are any negative connotations to being the youngest and or the only. Like, I think I came up just fine.
All right, cool. All right, all right. Sounds good. Sounds good. So what college? Tell us about your college. Where did you go to school if you went to college, and what did you study?
Yeah, so I went to FAM, SBI 5-year program. So straight through with bachelor's and master's at graduation. I never intended to like work. I always wanted to be an entrepreneur. So I think I knew that very early on, and was always trying to do little side hustles, sell candy, sell fireworks, what have you, from like elementary through high school. And so I chose business. That seemed to be a natural fit. There wasn't anything I was passionate about per se, but I knew how to make money and do kind of those types of things. So business seemed to be the right path to take.
Got you. So I don't know if you know this about myself. I actually, let me see if I remember correctly. Eminem's Starburst, Airheads, Blow Pops, Jolly Ranchers, Snicker bars, Caramello bars, Blow Pops, Jolly Ranchers, and Reese's Peanut Butter Cups. That's what I sold. I actually bought my first car selling candy. I bought all my jerseys, all my Timbs, my Kobe Bryant jerseys, my Jordan, all my LeBron jerseys, all that stuff selling candy. So you told me you sold candy. I love hearing that kind of stuff. What kind of candy did you sell?
So it started like as an elementary school kid. I never ate my Halloween candy or Easter candy. I always took it back to school and sold it. So by the time I got to middle school, I was on like student government, and we would have fundraisers and we'd be selling donuts, but I would have donuts and then a backpack full of all types of other things that I picked up from Sam's that I could sell at the same time. So I had the license to sell, and I had a little stash of my own stuff. So same, basically those multi-packs from Sam's that you can get every weekend, re-up and hustling those in school during the holidays, the cookie tins, basically whatever you could get in bulk at Sam's that was portable, that's what was sold.
Yep. Yeah, me and you were cut from the same cloth then. 'Cause I figured if I had to go to school, I might as well figure out a way to get paid to do it. So yeah, it was that was a fun thing. I learned more selling candy and selling stuff in the street than I ever did in MBA in graduate as an MBA. I learned the technical side or whatever, I would say, in grad school, but I learned the people skills, how to walk into a table, people you don't know, and sell yourself and get them to like you so you can buy whatever you need to buy. I learned all that ish basically selling candy in middle school and high school. So I did not know that actually about you. So that was very nice to hear. I love hearing
I
about
didn't know
you.
that about you either. And I'm not surprised that we have things in common since we were born on the exact same day. So
Same day. All right, cool. You said something earlier I want to touch on. You said you did not think you would go the corporate America route. You were always an entrepreneur, always had a business mindset and everything like that, but you did work in corporate America. So name three ways working in corporate America, Antoinette, prepared you for the transition that you pretty much went on.
okay. So the number one thing I learned about working in corporate America is that there is no loyalty. That's the first thing you learn. You can be fired, other people can be hired, and you need to take care of yourself and look out for yourself first and foremost and have a game plan. The second thing I learned is nothing is guaranteed, right? Whatever you think might happen, you never know when that changes because you're not in control of your future or your path when you are one in a cogwheel of very, very many. The third thing was if you are intentional or you have a game plan, your corporate job can be your number one investor in whatever business, side hustle, what have you, that you're building. So if you view that paycheck as your investor submitting funds to your business, it helps make the time there more tolerable until you can make it out. So
definitely. So if your employer is paying, I don't know, $85,000 a year, instead of looking at it as just like your beer, pizza, rent, and party money, that's your investment money to basically start your business or to start.
That's your number one investor in whatever business that you're starting. So in the meantime, you make them happy and they continue to invest in your business.
I love that. And I like that mindset that you said. I agree. There is no loyalty in corporate America. There is no, unfortunately, let's be honest, favorites do get played. But I like how you kind of said that. Basically, you make them happy. And then while you're making them happy, they pay you for your time and you basically are investing into yourself. I love that. Yep. What made you want to do the transition, Antoinette? Oh, by the way, you went to the second best HBCU in the world, fam. I had to mention that.
You didn't have to go. This didn't have to become that.
I had to. I mean, North Carolina A&T. I mean, we like. I went to FAMU a couple times. I enjoyed my time down there. But y'all were the second best HBCU behind A&T, of course, and then Howard, and Hampton. They were like a number 3 or 4. FAM was cool, but gotcha. A&T was better. So yeah.
Well, as an alumni of the best, there's no need to discuss this because we all know.
Got you. My father actually would not let me go to FAMU. I got into FIU and I got into FAMU. My dad literally refused to let me even visit the campus. He was like, "You're not going nowhere near Miami, and you're not going anywhere near Florida." So,
because he knew you would choose it. That's why.
Yeah, that's not why he didn't let me go, but we can say that. Nah, I got mad love for fam. Keep it moving. What made you want to get involved with real estate though, Antoinette? Because honestly, when I reached back out to you a couple years ago, I wasn't surprised that you got into real estate because I always kind of knew, like myself, you had a mind for kind of doing your own thing. But what made you want to choose that route? Because that kind of surprised me a little bit, but when I thought about it, it kind of didn't, I guess.
Well, when I was in college, my job, my part-time job as a college student, I was working for a local entrepreneur who owned real estate properties. And my first job with him was building new construction properties. So that was my initial exposure. And I met him because I was looking for a house to buy. I was 19 and decided that it was time to buy a house and I was looking for one. And I called about one of his new construction properties. And he was just like, "What are you doing thinking you're going to buy a house? How old are you?" And I tell him, and then he invites me to his office and offers me a job. And so my job became to run the construction of those projects. So I had early exposure there, but even still, I just thought of that as my college job. Like it didn't click. I wish it had clicked that early, but it didn't. And so fast forward 5, 6 years later, I'm not totally happy or satisfied at my corporate job and not sure kind of what I wanted to do with my life, what I wanted to be when I grew up. I tried thinking about all the things that I've done that have made me happy. And that job was the one that I enjoyed the most. So I said, okay, this was the last time I remember working and being happy. I enjoyed doing that, doing the construction and building houses. So let me try a project. And if I still like it and it goes well, then I'll start shifting into doing that full time. So that's how that came about.
Got you. So was he a developer? Was he an architect? What was his professional?
He was a hustler. He was a professional businessman. I believe he was a CPA and an accountant, but also just a very staunch kind of businessman. And wherever he could find opportunities, he would jump into them.
Got you. Got you. I love that. I love that. If you take a look at the track of this country, generally speaking, people built wealth kind of more or less three different ways. They basically started businesses, they purchased land, and or they got involved with the stock market to some extent. By land, I also mean they got involved with property. So one thing that I will say, and that I loved hearing about, is that you said you had a plan. You weren't all that necessarily happy in corporate America, but when you realized what made you happy, what put the glint in your eye, it's kind of funny because when you said that, you started smiling, not necessarily with your face, but also with your eyes as well, Antoinette, in regards to what made you happy. And working for this developer slash architect slash contractor, it did that. And like you said, the gentleman, I think you said his background, he was a CPA, but basically he took that knowledge as a CPA and said, okay, he liked the real estate slash property world. And he got involved with that. And by osmosis, you kind of picked that up from him. And it allowed you.
That's kind of how it happened.
Yep, and allowed you to stack paper. Quick transition. What does it feel like to be, actually, before we go to that, books that you read, podcasts that you listen to that you get involved with in real estate, because you're full-time into it now. So for the people that are thinking about basically getting involved with real estate, getting involved with kind of doing it the way you're doing it, what books would you tell them to read? What podcasts would you tell them to listen to? And if not, what advice would you give them?
Well, I'm going to tell them to read some books. I hear they are very fundamental. You should do that. But I cannot personally recommend any because I haven't read any kind of real estate or business related books. But I did listen to a lot of podcasts. So I spent probably way too much time on biggerpockets.com. Listening to all of the podcasts they have available. I think they have like several different ones. I did a little bit of, really, if I'm honest, Bigger Pockets was kind of the end all be all. That was mostly where I learned everything. And whenever there was something that I heard that I didn't fully understand, I would just Google for more understanding of that, or pop into my local real estate investors association to ask the question so I could get clarification on that. But I could pull up a number of podcasts that I may have listened to one or two episodes on, but it was really just Bigger Pockets back and forth.
I've heard of them. I read one. I'm an avid reader. I try to read roughly 60 books a year. I try to average at least one book a week or two books a week. And Bigger Pockets is the one that I personally, it's actually funny, a buddy of mine who got into real estate, that's the podcast he listens to. And as a result, I read a book basically from one of the main Bigger Podcast guys, and that's also the podcast I listen to. So anybody out here listening, I agree 1,000,000% with Antoinette. If you are more of an audio type of person, or you're like me, you drive an hour and a half to get to work, depending on when you leave for work and stuff like that, and you got 3 hours or 2 hours in the car every day, you can learn literally a university worth of education for free by listening to Bigger Podcasts. So yeah, Bigger Podcasts. I'm sorry. You said a couple books as well, Antoinette. Anything you want to shout out to, or just not really? Antoinette, I can't hear you.
Sorry about that. I haven't read any, but I will tell you what people tell me I should read. What is it? The Cash Flow Quadrant, that's been recommended to me a number of times. That's the only one I can think of. 4 Hour Work Week
That's a good book.
Everybody always recommends Rich Dad Poor Dad. I have not read it, so I can't say. I'm more of a self-starter researcher than a read the book. I'm just gonna get some quick information and then go try it.
Got you. So you don't like sit around. You like to say, okay, this is what I'm gonna do. I've done enough research on my own. It's time for me to get moving.
I just go do it. Yeah. The time that I would spend reading all of those books, that's several projects that, I've done. So I like the school of getting out there and doing it.
Gotcha. Yeah, you are definitely a self-starter. Absolutely. And I like that. So your advice is just podcast, basically educate yourself, and when you're comfortable, kind of get out there and do it.
Yeah, educate yourself. You can do it through a podcast. Definitely read those books. There are many blogs to follow. Your local real estate investors association is a wealth of information. So networking opportunities where you can learn from other people who are doing it or who are also learning. The more kind of information that you can get in, the better prepared you'll be when you do make a move.
Would you advise somebody getting a mentor, or is this you just find that along the way?
I'm so biased, Chris. Like, people do that, right? And they pay for mentors. I have yet to find a need for that or to justify the cost to have it, because I just feel like I can do it myself. Like, Google exists.
Yes, it does.
The information is out there. I am not going to pay somebody to sort it for me. I can figure that out myself. Okay. So no, if you are smart and ambitious, you don't need to pay for a mentor. However, mentorship does have its benefits, and it can be helpful, and it can be the difference between, building slow and building quickly for some. For others, it cannot be impactful. So it just depends on what your needs are and your personality type, I would guess.
Got you. All right, cool. I can roll with that, and it makes a lot of sense. Definitely, I agree with that. All right, keep them moving. What are the three benefits, rather, Antoinette, to real estate instead of, say, investing in a brick and mortar company, or investing in a high risk crypto account, or maybe an extremely aggressive mutual fund that you could make a lot of money, but you could lose a lot of money? What are three benefits that you would say to real estate versus these other wealth building strategies that I talked about?
I'd like to think that real estate is more tangible, and you can have more control over the outcome, right? I think of the things you listed, I have the most control in real estate because I'm selecting the property. I'm determining what rehab happens. I'm placing the tenants, right? Like, it's me, not the stock market going up and down based on how other people are purchasing. Crypto is kind of unknown a little bit, where real estate is tried and true. If you look at the majority of wealth from the beginning of this country till now, real estate plays a solid part in building that. So definitely the tangibility, the level of control that it allows you to have, and it has a scale of passivity based on the way you choose to manage that property. It can be completely passive if you're investing in syndications or other things, or it can be active. So just, yeah, I like cash flow.
Absolutely.
I like the tangibility, and I like the control.
I love it. All right, perfect. And I mean, there's nothing I can add to that. A lot of my friends who are huge into real estate, they kind of literally say the same thing in regards to why they did houses and not why they did houses / land versus crypto. Why they'd rather put something into a tangible duplex, or to a tangible apartment home, or to a tangible 4-bedroom, 3-bath house versus an extremely aggressive mutual fund that has a 5-year track record, but it's only 7 years old. So everything you're saying, Antoinette, I agree 1,000% with the people. Listen to this Black woman, because she knows exactly what she's talking about. Corporate America. So for the listeners out there, are you still in corporate America? Did you bounce? Like, how'd that transition, if you did leave, how'd that transition go?
Well, I retired from working for another individual on my 36th birthday. So from that day last year, I have not worked for anyone else, and I do not intend to work for anyone else. And with the real estate portfolio that I have, I do not foresee having to go to work again. If I choose to just sit on my butt every day in my house, those things run themselves, the rent pays, and I'm okay. So yeah, no more corporate. The transition, it wasn't by choice. My plan was always to leave, but I actually got fired before my target leave date. I was planning to leave December 31st, 2020, and I got fired August of 2020. But by the time they did that, it was just like,
thank you.
Okay, thanks. Because I was starting to backtrack on my plan, like, oh, I can just stay here longer and just ride this out. And I was starting to doubt that December 31st target date. So I'm glad they did it. They pushed me out, and I haven't looked back.
Did you get a severance package with it as well?
Absolutely not. Again, there is no loyalty. These companies do what they want to do. So you're the only one that can look out for you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So transition. I'm first of all, I'm happy to hear that. I think sometimes God has a way of just kind of kicking us out of our comfort zone so he can get us to do the things we need to do. And you never, when you were talking about corporate America, you never smiled about the way you smiled about your real estate, about the real estate that you're building that you currently own. So it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, I mean, that was my ticket to freedom. If I had not started investing in real estate and building that portfolio, I couldn't say that I'm 36 years old and I don't have to go to work for anybody. I couldn't say that I'm a self-made millionaire. I couldn't say that I'm financially independent. Like, that was not going to happen on a corporate career track anytime soon.
Definitely. If you don't mind saying, Antoinette, how many pieces of properties do you currently manage?
So I only own 5 properties currently. One of them is going to be I'm selling that. That's a flip, so that won't stay long. I have 4 single family properties that I'll probably always have in my portfolio. I'm currently shopping for multifamily, so I don't really want a large number of properties. I just wanted enough to be free. I didn't want to create another job for myself by building out this huge portfolio that I now have to work.
Got you. And the first piece of property that you own, did you do the 30-year mortgage, a 15-year mortgage, you put 20% down? What was your take on that, I guess?
Yeah, so I did a conventional mortgage. I did 10% down instead of 20%. I understand that FHA requires less, and that is also a good way for people with less capital on hand to purchase a property and start with real estate investing. And quite honestly, I would recommend that. I didn't go that route because I didn't need to. I was still very much coming from a kind of debt-free mindset. So the thought of paying that additional PMI for the rest of the loan didn't really gel with kind of my financial principles. So before real estate ever started, I was a money nerd, right? Like into tracking my spreadsheet, budgeting, planning for retirement, all of those things, kind of debt freedom being at the core of that. So I still kind of take that approach in real estate investing.
Got you. And with I'm a money nerd as well or whatever. We both sold candy pretty much. I was that dude basically. I didn't mind being called cheap if it involved me basically not having to work at a company that I hated. That was never. I would say I like nice things and I like nice things, but I was always the type of dude where I'd rather drive something that was reliable than something that was flashy. I'd rather buy clothes that basically stand the test of time instead of something that was trendy. So for you, Antoinette, with your investing and everything, when you were getting on the debt-free route, did you shotgun your debt and get out of debt as soon as possible, or did you kind of streamline a little bit and max out your 401ks and max out your Roth IRA retirement accounts? What was your kind of strategy, I guess, with it?
No, it was debt-free was the number one goal. So before I ever thought about investing in real estate, it was being debt-free. Because for me, I always understood that if you didn't have bills and you didn't need money the same way, which made the requirements for work a little different. So the first 2 years out of college, I went ahead and knocked out of all the debt I had, student loans, any credit card debt, kind of wiped it clean within those first 2 years after graduating.
Got you. It's a beautiful thing, people. I can just say from my own experience that when you are debt free, your employer talks to you a little differently. I don't really know. It's like this weird transition that you make, particularly if you're a minority, where you just walk into the office a little different when, this dude can't talk to me like that, because I can pretty much walk out for 6 months and literally chill on a beach in Dubai if I want to, if this guy comes at me crazy. And it's kind of weird, man to man, people can kind of feel it too. Okay, this guy's a bit more confident than everyone else here. And why is that? And one thing is, it just kind of seeps to your skin. I don't have to work if I don't want to. And that is a feeling that I wish more of our people had a chance to feel, because it's a good friggin' feeling.
Yeah, there's nothing like the freedom of not needing a job.
Absolutely. 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 30-year mortgage versus the 15-year mortgage, Anthony. I think you kind of answered this a little bit earlier, but if you were somebody's gonna get personally involved with it, I know I have my own opinion about it, but how about yourself? What's your way of what's in regards to your first property that you own?
So with the first property, I actually did a 15-year mortgage. Again, I'm coming from a debt money management mindset, not an investor's mindset. So I started off with a 15-year mortgage. As I learned about real estate investing and started to become an investor myself, I stopped looking at mortgages as debt and started understanding leverage, right? It's no longer debt that is something that's going to be an anchor, hold me down. It's not frivolous spending on a credit card. It's now a tool that I'm using to create a source of income or to create earnings. So now I'm totally a fan of leverage, 100% on board. I only do 30-year mortgages and I leverage out those properties as much as I can, up to 80%, 75%, whatever I can get. So I'm no longer concerned about the amount of mortgage debt I'm carrying, because I'm carrying leverage that is allowing me to build a portfolio that generates income.
All right, so for my listeners at home, the ones who aren't quite as financially savvy as you and me are, give me an example of that. As far as you're carrying leverage, you look at the 30-year mortgage as such and such an item versus the 15-year mortgage in your state. So give me an example that's tangible for my my less than financially savvy people who listen to my channel.
Okay. So with a 15-year mortgage, I am paying more money up front to accelerate the payoff of this property within 15 years versus 30. My interest rate on that mortgage is probably, let's say we take 4% based on what it is today. But I know that in a stock investment, in a real estate purchase, in any other investment, I should be able to earn 6 to 7% or more on those dollars. So it's no longer optimal to save 4% over the course of 15 years when I can be earning 3% over that course. So rather than having it tied up in a loan just to save 4%, I'd rather keep that cash on hand so I can put it into assets that can generate 7, 8, 9, 10%.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yep. I agree. People, this is one of those kind of, some of my videos that I do, like my relationship ones or whatever, it's somewhat entertaining, and it's basically it's a lot of I don't want to say fat, but basically it will make you laugh, and then it may trigger you a little bit. Then there's other ones like this one where listen to what they're saying, because what she is describing, this is how people get rich. This is how people get wealthy. This is the way people basically transition out of corporate America. You're getting some, as my grandfather would used to say, meat and taters in this video.
I'll tell some jokes. I'll throw some jokes in there.
but it's from a tangible standpoint, people, this is the kind of knowledge or whatever that a lot of people don't quite get, or they don't know the method that Antoinette used to do it. Like, for one, she said she got completely out of debt before she even started looking in the real estate market. That's something I've literally been saying for over a decade or whatever. So everything this woman is saying, people listen to it or whatever, because there are so many tangible benefits and stuff that can kind of come to it, particularly if you do real estate the right way. Quick question. Somebody's asking me this. I was always worried about renting property to people who were broke and who won't pay me or have me. And I was always scared I'll be fixing toilets at 1 o'clock in the morning or 2 o'clock in the morning, or renting my property to potential unscrupulous drug boys and stuff like that. Wow. How do you screen your clients and/or help? How do you remove people who don't pay?
Okay. Well, for starters, you want to offer a solid rental. So before any property I have is available for rent, it probably just went through $100,000 renovation. So I know everything in that house is brand new, and I'm not going to be worried about being called at 1 a.m. about a broken toilet. So for starters, have your place together, make sure everything is up to date. and functioning so you can avoid that. Also, have a handyman on call because I'm not getting out of my bed to go over there. I'm going to pick up the phone and call somebody else and have them go over there and do it. So there's that. Second, screening. I run a background check and credit check on anybody that's applying to stay in any of my places. I have certain parameters or requirements, like in the last 5 years, I don't want to see any charge offs or missed payments or debts. I do provide a pass for people not paying their student loans because, it is what it is with that for many people.
$1.6 trillion.
Yeah, I look at the credit score. How are they currently managing their money? And also, do you make enough money at your job at least 3 times over the rent that you are going to be attempted to pay? But the caveat there is I do short-term rental strategy, not a long-term rental strategy. So those questions are more geared towards having someone there for a 12-month lease. I don't do that. I'm doing short-term rental. So I'm not concerned about kind of their income or their credit score in those cases because they're passing through temporarily, they're in and out. Their expectation is to leave. So I don't have to worry about them getting comfortable and making themselves at home and then having to fight to push them out. In the 2 units where I do a 12-month, it's those things. It's tenant screening, rental history, background, and credit check.
For your short-term rentals, how long how long would a person stay there?
So it depends. A reservation could be anywhere, anything you decide to do. So I have a 2-night minimum on most of the properties. So they could be there from 2 nights. But in the winter, I'll usually have snowbirds come down that want to be there for 2 to 3 months. And then on a couple units, we'll do travel nurses. And those are usually a monthly situation. But in those cases, I don't allow anybody to get a lease from me for over 3 months. 3 months is the max. This ain't your home. I don't want you getting comfortable. I want it in your mind that you are going to leave. And so far, we've been doing this since 2017, and an eviction was not something I've ever had to deal with. Like, everybody comes when they're supposed to come and they leave when they're supposed to leave.
Got you. Nah, makes sense. Keep it moving. Dave Ramsey. Are you familiar with the gentleman from Tennessee?
I am very familiar.
All right, good old Grandpa Dave. So Dave Ramsey pushes the narrative that you should only buy real estate 100% down. What are your thoughts on that, Antoinette?
Dave Ramsey has a very good program for people who are bad at managing their money and have made some financial mistakes. So what he offers is a solution to undo some of those bad things and give yourself a better start. Dave Ramsey's advice is not applicable to an investor, first and foremost, because it's coming from a position, I'll say, for lack of a better term, it's coming from a position of lack where you're trying to avoid things and you're focusing on the negative versus opportunity and growth. Also, if you're financially responsible, you manage your money well, you're not carrying balances on your credit card, you also don't need the strictness of his program because you have control. He is for people who don't have self-control and have made some mistakes along the way and need to reverse that. So I don't think about his methods in my daily life or practice. I will say that before I started investing, when it was just, about money, I did borrow a couple of his techniques as I was working through paying off my debt, like the debt snowball. It's great. Kind of letting go of things that you don't need. So that purge, but never as extreme as he would have you. So Dave Ramsey is for F-ups. Yeah. Not everybody else.
Got you. So no shooting your credit cards with AR-15s or pouring gasoline on or setting on fire, none of that stuff?
No, I mean, if that's what you want to do, if that's what you feel is necessary, go for it. If that's the position that you're in, but if you're a responsible person that is managing your money well, you don't need him that much.
All right, got you. Cool. Well, like I said, this is real estate, and I know for a fact people are going to ask me, well, what does Dave Ramsey say? What does Dave Ramsey say? And I kind of wanted to get your
Dave Ramsey is not a real estate investor, okay? Nobody should be going to Dave Ramsey for real estate advice or knowledge. No offense, Dave. Holler at him if you have debt and you need to dig yourself out of a hole for sure. He got you hands down, not your real estate mentor.
Got you. Full disclosure, when I actually graduated from college, the first book my father gave me was The Total Money Makeover. Yeah, The Total Money Makeover by Dave Ramsey. And it's a good book. I mean, I don't agree with a lot of the stuff that he says about certain things, but in general, I agree with what you said, Antoinette. If you basically have no financial literacy and you have issues basically putting on everything, just based trying to keep with the Joneses, and you love credit card debt and you love just kind of buying things you can't afford, Dave Ramsey is a phenomenal system for you. I think in general, the more financial gurus like this young lady I'm talking to right here that you can kind of pull knowledge from and learn from, the better off you're going to be. I don't agree with Dave Ramsey. I don't disagree with Dave Ramsey. I think he's just one more tool you should keep in your toolbox that you should basically listen to if the situation fits or whatever.
Yeah, there's no one size fits all. So when I started, I listened to some things from Dave. I would listen to some things from Clark Howard and Susie Orman. So when I was just getting out of school, those were the financial voices. And I pulled from them what was most impactful for me and what best fit my situation, because there's no blanket, if this works for everybody. And I created my own money management and budgeting system based on tenets that I was able to pull from them and some that I created on my own. And that is what has worked best for me. So I would challenge everyone to develop a system that works for you. But of course, that system should be developed based off expert knowledge that's out there and available to you.
Absolutely. And I couldn't disagree with that at all. I mean, I couldn't agree anymore. Everything completely. Let's move on to another gentleman who is very loud and proud in the real estate space, Grant Cardone. Grant says it's better to buy real estate that has more than one front door, i.e. duplexes, triplexes, quads, apartment buildings if you can afford it, even hotels in some situations. What are your thoughts on that, Antoinette?
I absolutely agree. I cannot speak to anything specific about Grant Cardone because I've never followed him, listened to whatever he had to say. I understand that he's a big player in the space, but just wasn't impactful on my journey. But yes, the more doors, the better, right? A single family, you're dependent on one tenant paying the mortgage. When you have a duplex, triplex, anything else, you have 2, 3, 4 people responsible for covering that mortgage. So why not have more? And that's a key to our strategy. I don't buy single doors. And even if I buy a single family home, the way I use it is as a multifamily with 2 to 3 rental opportunities within that single family property. Third, if you are a beginning real estate investor, I absolutely believe that the easiest way to start real estate investing is by purchasing a multifamily property, living in one of the units and renting out the others, thereby eliminating your financial expenses and allowing you to accelerate your savings, scaling to more properties, what have you, now that you don't have rent or a mortgage to pay because your tenants are paying it for you.
I got you. So full disclosure for anyone out here who did not catch that. So you would say move into a triplex, live in one unit, and then rent out the other 2.
Yeah, and it can be a triplex, it can be a duplex, it can be a quad, it can be a single family home with a pool house or a garage apartment. I am saying don't pay your own mortgage. Make sure the house that you purchase is a house that also generates income for you.
How do you keep that barrier? Like, let's say you live in a triplex, and you're paying your rent. Tenant A is paying the rent, but tenant B is not, and the tenant B sees you every day when you're cutting the grass. You're basically you go to church with them. You hang out with them. How do you keep that balance? No, I'm not your friend. I'm your landlord.
First, an easy way is you don't have to let them know you own the place. Right? Nobody said you had to announce and showcase that you're the owner and do all of the interviewing. You can have a property manager do that for you. You can have a realtor do that for you. You can have a friend do it for you if you are not able to simply establish boundaries and interact with that person as a business arrangement. If that's not something that you're comfortable with, outsource that. Let somebody else do it.
Got you. I love it. Another question. When should a person get involved in real estate and how much should they purchase? They didn't really give me a lot to work with that.
It's going to be different for everybody. I would say before you start investing in real estate, you need to have strong understanding or command of the money that you have available and the way that you are using it. because it doesn't matter how much more money you make, how many more assets you have. If you do not know how to manage your money and what you have at that time, you will just have more things that you don't know how to manage. So, first, get your financial house in order, understand, have some control over your spending and your savings. And once you have those key financial principles in hand and you're having good financial practices, then you start thinking about how to invest in something. Also, everyone is always, it seems that everyone's plan is to own a home one day. So you know that's going to happen. Plan for it and prepare for it.
Got you, got you. Would you say, I think you said this earlier, 10% down, that's what you did with your first your first property?
That's what I did. But honestly, the FHA loan where you only have to put 3.5% down, that's an excellent opportunity as well to start.
Got you, got you. I'm loving this. I'm loving this. I can tell you, people are definitely getting some meat and taters with this one. You left corporate America in 2021 or 22?
20.
Oh, 2020. 2020. All right, cool. What was your aha moment? Mama, I made it. What was your aha moment when you like, I'm not in corporate America? Wow. What was it? What was your aha moment?
Right after I got fired, I immediately went and got another job just because, like you have a job. That's what you do.
We're taught.
But it was after I probably did that job for like 9 months and was like, I'm not using this check. It's just going into the bank. Like I really don't need this income. And I don't know. I don't think I've had that. I don't feel like I've made it yet. I'm still working towards some things. So I don't think I've had that aha moment just yet, if I'm honest. I'm still working towards something.
Got you. Yeah, if you are the Antoinette that I know very well, you're never satisfied. You're always you're always trying to level up.
Yeah, so I don't know if I will have that. Yeah, I don't know if I will have it. I could say, okay, so at the end of last year, I had a goal to become a millionaire, right? And I had been tracking my net worth. And I think I noticed in November of last year, I'd hit it. But even still, there was not an aha moment or a feeling of relief or anything. It's just like, well, it's a little overrated, right? Like there was nothing that comes with it. So I think eventually, right? Like at some point, there's probably some subconscious goal or milestone I have buried in my head somewhere in one day, but there's no aha moment yet. There's no mama, I made it yet. I'm still trying to make it. I guess when I am able to support my family in a way, maybe change the lives of my immediate family too, I would feel like I've made it. Right now, I'm just out, but I still got some people in there that I need to go get.
Got you. In regards to that, family, how do you deal with that whole dynamic? Because I hope that I'm wrong with this one, but I'm hoping that you don't have a lot of family members saying, Antoinette, can you buy me this? Antoinette, you got this, you got money now. How do you deal with that whole dynamic?
Well, no family member would ever think that was something that they could come to me for, right? Like I've always been a stickler about my money, and you didn't ask me for anything unless like it was life or death. You absolutely need it. So I think from day one, I've always had that boundary established around my money and friends or family members. So I've never had to experience that because that was never something that was an option. Yeah, it's really that simple. Like if you have boundaries, establish them, people, share them, and don't let people cross them.
Got you.
So you learned that, and ask me for anything.
So you learned that very, very powerful word of no very early in life then.
Oh yeah. Absolutely not. It's kind of my favorite. Hell nah, I like that one too.
I prefer that one too. I agree. It has a little bit more immediacy to it, particularly put some bass in your voice behind it. So yeah. Yep. Helping people. What's your take on that? Because I've done the route where I've given people thousands of dollars, I've given people money, and with the idea, this is what I want you to do with it, and they didn't do it. They did some other crap I didn't like, or they got involved with some MLM that I hated. So as far as helping family or helping friends or whoever, how do you go about doing that? I guess just in your space, Antoinette.
Short and sweet, I don't. That's not my priority or my focus. You cannot help anyone else unless you've established yourself. So my primary goal is to get where I need to be and secure me, right? Like you are your number one responsibility. Everybody is here with the same opportunities, the same chances, the same resources that they can try to get access to, and they're making the choices that they are making with those. You are responsible for you, they are responsible for them. So first and foremost, that's just my stance on it. And so I don't like, again, and this is clear, I've made this clear with all of my friends and family, like, you doing what you want to do with the money and the resources you have access to. I'm doing what I want to do. Your problems are not my problems. So don't call me with that, because I'm not calling you with mine. So yeah, again, no, just the word no, like no. And the whole you are your brother's keeper, that thing, yeah and no, just no. You need to build your foundation, set yourself up, and once you've achieved what you wanted, if you want to go back and kind of help someone else out, do that. But you can never do it with the expectation that you're going to get the outcome that you want, that they should be as responsible, because if they were going to be as responsible, they wouldn't be calling you.
Yep. They will be doing it themselves before they reach out to you. Definitely. Question: what do you miss anything from corporate America, Antoinette? Because I know people that have worked themselves out of it. Okay.
I do.
What do you miss?
I miss corporate travel and the per diem. Absolutely. I ate very well during travel trips at work, and I earned lots of points traveling for work. I do miss that very much.
Got you. So you miss the per diem and the on the road travel.
And yeah, that's it. So that's it.
You got it better than I did. I get $15 for meals, so you got it way better than I.
No, my per diem was like $60, and depending on the city, sometimes it would go up to $75. I ate good.
You was with Chris Steakhouse in it every night then, so yeah.
Better.
All right, cool. What do you like the most, Antoinette, about the lifestyle that you built for yourself in regards to you retired early and you're financially independent. You walked out of corporate America. You left your 9-to-5. What do you like the most about the lifestyle that you currently built for yourself?
I like that it's mine, right? Like it's 100% mine, and no person, individual, or company can impact the outcome of that and change my course. So the freedom in that is the best thing.
Absolutely. Countries you visited, any place you want to talk about in particular? Like I know you have said you have not had an aha moment, but what was a place that you were, or something you were able to do, or a place you were able to visit since you left corporate America that would have been kind of a challenge to go to if you were still there?
Well, I left corporate America during COVID, so kind of travel has been out. I will say that on Monday, I'm going to Maldives, and I booked that trip maybe 30 days ago.
Beautiful.
And there was no thought of requesting vacation time or can I have it or do I have the time. I was just like, oh, I think I want to go here. I'm going to book that and I'm out. There was nobody to check with or consult on whether or not those dates needed to work for them and what they wanted me to do. So that.
Cool. If you're going with your man, be careful. It's beautiful out there. Don't come back pregnant, okay? Unless if you want.
I will not, I assure you. Thank you for your concern.
It's absolutely gorgeous. It's one of those places. I want to take my wife there one day. Believe
it's a workcation for me. So that is like, would never have been on my list of places to go. That just seems very boring to me.
International real estate or?
No, Maldives. It's like I'm trapped on a sandbar. Like I can't go nowhere. There's nothing else to do. It's whatever restaurants are there at that hotel. That's it. This sounds like a nightmare. So I'm going to use it as a workcation. I'm actually going to go and just like, all right, have my little schedule of what work I'm doing every day. I'm going to build some courses. I'm going to set up some social media stuff, because otherwise I would go crazy. I'm not like a relaxed, chill at the spa vacationer.
No, you're not.
Yeah.
Cool. You kind of alluded to this a little earlier, but you've retired early and you've achieved financial independence, Antoinette. What do your days look like now compared to when you were probably punching the corporate America clock?
I think when I worked a job, I woke up with dread.
Oof.
And checked my email. That's kind of where that started, to see what would be waiting for me that day. How am I going to make these people feel like I'm valuable? What expectations are there waiting for me? where now I wake up naturally. I'm very big on that. I will not let an alarm happen around here. I don't set a schedule. I'm going to wake up when my eyes decide that they want to open. Usually I'm at the gym by 8. We see a personal trainer. Then we take the dogs on a walk for an hour, sit out by the lake, come back, have lunch, maybe take a nap. It is very freeing. There is no set schedule.
Got you. And I love hearing that because we obviously very clearly share the same reflection. And I know growing up, was not a lifestyle that I was told that we could kind of honestly have. That was not a lifestyle that I saw. I mean, and no disrespect to the people. I get up at 3:30 every morning. I work my balls off to provide for my wife and my son and our businesses and for corporate America. And that's there's nothing wrong with that. So I'm not trying to poo-poo the corporate America people, because I think there's benefit to that as well. But growing up, the lifestyle you just got done describing, Antoinette, I mean, I'm gonna keep it a buck. I just did not see Black people and people who share our reflection pretty much being able to live like that. And I love hearing what you just got done saying.
Yeah, nobody could. Like my dad, you didn't see him. When you woke up, he was gone, and he would get back sometime after he went to sleep. Same for my mom working. There was no freedom. Like Sunday was the off day, but even still that was work because she was going to church, right? Like there was always something to do. So when people ask me what I do every day and my report is a whole lot of nothing and they look slightly disappointed, I'm just like, that was the point. That was the point to be able to live and just do. Like I know so many different bird species and bird calls because that's how much time I'm spending outside walking around and paying attention to my surroundings because I have the time and brain space to do that.
Absolutely. I love it. Yeah, definitely, Antoinette. You're giving so much inspiration and motivation to a lot of people that are listening to this. So please keep doing that. And I want more young Black women and more young Black girls and more Black people, period, more people in general, regardless of the color of your skin, to kind of hear what you're saying and to go for those dreams or whatever, to go for that. So I got.
And they should also hear that it is easy, right? Like it is easy to do. It really was not that serious, and it really only took 4 years.
Antoinette, you're saying that it's easy, but I know how hard you grinded in Orlando. I know you got debt free for a reason. You did a 5-year program in college. It's easy, but you put in the steps to make it easy or whatever. I mean,
it's easy with intention. If you are intentional about something, like it is easy for people to go out to that new restaurant. It's easy for people to go buy the new outfit they want. The things that you are have your intention set on, they are easy for you to do. The shift is just adjust the intention away from the material things, the entertainment, the other things that you're doing, and put them into things that will be impactful and change your life.
Absolutely. All right, well, we're coming to a close of this. I've got 3 questions. Actually, one of them I already asked a little earlier, so I'll ask the following 2 right now, okay? So I want to be respectful of your time. So question number 1, I've been dating a guy for 4 years and want to marry him, but he's divorced with a kid and doesn't want to marry me. His daughter lives with his ex-wife. My boyfriend and I are comfortable with our situationship, and we are monogamous to each other. He recently approached me about buying a 3-bedroom, 2-bath home with him, but my brother, who's married, has told me it's stupid to buy a home with a guy that does not want to marry me. Based off of what you're saying, your situation, what are your thoughts, Antoinette?
I do not think that marriage is the end all be all. So let's just take that off the table. And I think that young lady should make the decision that feels right for her. If she's secure in her relationship, if they've discussed the financial kind of investment that this would be, and they clearly understand how it impacts each person. Is your name also going to be on the mortgage or not, right? Like, talk about it with your partner and you. That's all that matters. Don't let society tell you should be married first. Any of that. I'm not married. I've been with my partner for 8 years. We'll get to it when we want to. Maybe we won't. But we also share a home. We're involved in the business. That works for us. So she needs to do what works for her and just make sure she's clearly communicating with her partner, that they both understand the expectations, the impact. If they want to create a contract with each other, what have you, she just needs to be fully aware of what that means, right? Like, is he going to buy a home and it's only in his name and you're just living there? And if you guys break up, that home belongs to him? Or are you both going to share the financial responsibility and ownership of that home? And if you break up, that's an asset that you guys split. But I definitely don't think that anything anyone else says about how the situation should be matters.
Got you. I'm a little partial to this because one of my cousins did actually move in with a person, lived with them for about 15 years. The mortgage, their name was not on the mortgage, and eventually they got tired of him and told my cousin to move out. And this was after he spent 15
Was your
years.
cousin paying towards the mortgage?
He was paying toward the mortgage.
Okay. And that's why I said she should communicate, be clear with expectations, and have like requirements. If you want that protection, make a contract with that person. And that's whether they bought a house or not. That's just in anything.
Right. So go into the idea, basically saying, okay, this is what we're gonna do. This is what we do. This is what we're thinking about. This is what we're gonna do, and put it in writing and put in some kind of contract. Gotcha.
Yeah.
And question number two, actually kind of keep it in line with what we just been talking about. I'm financing my own home and I have a 30-year mortgage. I bought it 5 years ago. My boyfriend is a lawyer and he proposed to me this Valentine's Day. I love him and he has told me, however, that he refuses to move into this home and wants me to sell the home. We move and move into an apartment and eventually we can buy another home that's larger and in a better neighborhood, as my current neighborhood that I currently live in is not good. My fiance also wants to get a 15-year mortgage and pay it off in 3 to 5 years. When I've approached him about living in this house and potentially contractually changing it, he has flat out said he will not live in any home that doesn't have his name on it, and he does not want to live in the home that I currently own. What should I do, Antoinette?
So it sounds like they have a misalignment of values. So they first need to kind of do a value check. Do you guys have the same core values, especially when it comes to financial principles? And if you find that you don't, this may not be a situation that's going to be sustainable over time. Two, sounds like there's a little bit of ego going on in here. And she should determine whether or not that negatively or positively impacts her, right? Do you want to be with a partner that wants to discuss things with you and you guys come to a consensus? Or do you want a partner that's like, it's only going to be this way or nothing at all because I'm the man and I said so? So she should check with herself on whether or not the situation aligns with her values. Second, seek expert advice, right? Okay, maybe the neighborhood is not the best and you could have a better quality of life by moving out of the neighborhood, but rather than selling the property, keep it as a rental while you guys go live in a joint home. But I'd say to walk away from a home that you own and are building equity in to pay rent does not necessarily seem like the best financial situation, but you know, who am I?
Got you. I would say with this young lady, definitely check in with your partner, check in with your fiance. If you feel the relationship is worth it to move forward with this gentleman, I can tell you this, a lot of our people are not getting married today. So if this guy wants to quote unquote marry you and take you down the aisle, and you said he's a lawyer, he's thinking about buying a house in 3 to 5 years. So the brother obviously has money, or at least financially he's in a place where he can afford these types of things. I would say don't throw that relationship away, but I also agree with Antoinette to a certain extent. Why sell the home? Maybe you should keep the home and then basically try to rent it out. You said that she mentioned something in our article about it not being the best neighborhood. So if he does not want to live there, maybe it's for the schools. Maybe he's the type of guy that would rather pay a little bit extra money to be in a nicer house so that his kids can go to a very good public school. That way he doesn't have to waste money on private school. There's a lot of moving parts to this basically. So I would say if this guy loves you, I can say I got married a little over a year and a half ago. There's a give and take in a relationship. There's a give and take in a marriage. If I just told my wife this is what we're going to do, there will be problems with that. As a result, you have to talk to your partner. You got to talk to your spouse and say, okay, this is what I want. This is what you want. You're both adults. You should be able to come to some kind of conclusion about how to proceed with it. So
sounds like a deeper discussion definitely needs to be had between the two of them.
Definitely. And I'll say this too, if you're thinking about any long-term relationship, because I know people who are not married and they're still doing it, get counseling. People, professional and a real counselor, not like your boy or your whoever. Go to a real counselor, a real marriage counselor, a real dating counselor, and sit down with them and say, this is kind of what I'm thinking, this is what she's thinking. And you'd be kind of surprised how a third party basically that does not know you, the kind of advice they can give you about a situation. And I think with you two, definitely, because I agree with Antoinette, there is kind of some there's some other stuff going on with this. I don't think this is not necessarily a bad thing. There's a couple other things on it. Like the guy is flat out refusing to move in with you. I'm kind of partial to that because I saw a very negative experience of that with my own family members. But there was other stuff going on with that too. If this guy says he wants to do 3 to 5 year, pay a house off in 3 to 5 years, and he can afford to do that. Less than 3% of men in this country have that kind of money, depending on where this lady lives. So I say keep the relationship. Try to basically come to some kind of idea about what you should do with this particular house. And you're both adults, so you guys can figure it out.
So, yep. Communication.
Communication is key. Communication is key. All right, Antoinette, like I said, I want to basically respect your time, but this was a phenomenal episode. A lot of times on my channel, I like to talk about 401ks, I like to talk about Roth IRAs, I like to talk about investment accounts, retirement accounts. I have an MBA in finance, so this is the kind of stuff that I don't necessarily mind doing, but I also love talking to entrepreneurs, and I love talking to people who share our reflection, who have achieved the American dream. And in my opinion, the American dream is being able to walk into your office and say, I love working here, but I work here because I want to, not because I have to.
Absolutely.
I think the American dream is you can do what Antoinette said. Well, you know what? I get paid every week or every 2 weeks, and all I'm doing with this paycheck is putting in the bank because I make so much money on my side businesses. That's true. That's the American dream pretty much. And for our people, for 365 years, we were absolutely not allowed to do that. So I love talking to people who share our reflection, basically, who can do that. And when it's a female, it's even more empowering in certain ways. So definitely, Antoinette, this was a great interview. Do you have any questions, any comments, any concerns for me?
No, but thank you for having me. I will say it is easy, right? Like I know people don't want to hear that, but it really, really is. Oh my God, it is so easy. 2, don't buy your dream house. Everybody's first purchase, if you're taking a foray into real estate, should be a property that generates income. If you just buy a home that you are living in and paying for yourself, that is not an investment. You just got a debt. That's your reason that you go to work every day. So we need to think about purchasing property completely differently because we're starting from a disadvantage. So we need to be more strategic about how we walk into that. And stop taking that basic, it's your biggest investment, it's going to be the best thing you ever do. No, it's going to be the reason you go to work every day. So buy a house that pays for itself, or at least has someone paying for half the mortgage.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You don't need, I actually have a separate video about that where I talk about different things that you can do to build generational wealth. And one of them is your first house, don't buy the 9 bedrooms with the swimming pool in the backyard and the huge basement and all that kind of stuff. I mean, like you said, your first house is the reason I call it your starter home. So if you're a DIY, if you're a hands-on guy, basically buy it, flip it. So there's a lot of different things you can do. And Antoinette, I love talking to you because you made it plain. You've actually done this stuff. I talked to so many boss chicks and high value guys who have these quote unquote ideas. We sit down and talk to them. They've done none of it. They talk a great game. They haven't done any of it. Whereas just talking with you, I could literally see the glint in your eyes as your mind was moving as far as how you would go about doing A, B, and C. And you've already done it. It's a beautiful thing.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me. I'm honored to share this podcast with you. I'm looking forward to seeing what your podcast does and the audience that you're building behind it. I like that you're focused on impacting the lives of the people that look like you, and that you have kind of a mission and purpose attached to what you're doing. So it's great to see that. I'm just out here all selfish, like just doing stuff for myself. So we need more people like you.
Anthony, you'd be surprised. People follow an example. They want to be led. Like even with this guy in the second question that he asked, my experience, women don't mind being led by a guy who knows what he's doing. It's not a sexist statement, but if a guy, for instance, if a guy knows what he's doing when he's dancing with her, a woman does not mind being led. And I find that's not just on a dance floor. That's in so many other facets of your life. So honestly, Antoinette, keep doing what you're doing because people are watching you. I mean, I got little cousins that have hit me up saying, Chris, I'm thinking about buying property. What do you think? And I'm giving them my experience with it or whatever. But when I tell them to listen to this interview, it's going to literally change so many different factors in the mind about how they should go about thinking about property, how they should go about looking at property. And we need to hear this because no disrespect to the Dave Ramseys or the Grant Cardones, but it's a little different when you hear from an older guy who doesn't look like you, and it's very different when you hear from somebody who's 3 or 4 years older than you. They grew up in the same places you grew up in, went to the same parties you went to, the same stupid stuff you used to do. You all guys all did it, but they see you doing it. It's a little different when it kind of comes from one of us. So keep doing what you're doing, Antoinette. You inspire me. I love seeing how your real estate empire is going to continue to grow, and I look forward to starting my journey for mine as well. So yeah.
Yep, I'm ready when you're ready. We're gonna get you into a house hack.
Yeah. Talk to wifey first. There's a couple things we got to take care of. But yeah, I love this interview. Thank you, Antoinette. But to everybody listening, once again, financial emancipation. That's what I push. This channel is all about making money. It's all about saving money. It's all about building generational wealth. And I want you to financially emancipate yourself from generational poverty. Okay. Please like, please comment, please subscribe. Please like all the videos, and I will see you on the next one. Thanks, Antoinette. And tell your dude I said what's up. Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Yep. Peace. Bye.